What is going on, you guys? AK40 Kevin here in the gamer heaven. I have lined up here every wireless mouse that Razer currently offers. I do have a separate video for each one of these mice individually, unboxing it, going through the initial setup with Windows 10, the Razer Synapse 3 application, as well as my initial thoughts and a short-term review. Now, this is going to be a comprehensive comparison of the entire wireless lineup of Razer mice, as there is quite a dang few. And some of them are pretty similar. Now, some of them have some very unique features like the Naga that are unlike any of the other mice in this sector. However, a lot of these wireless mice are very similar, and it's very difficult to pick out which one might be ideal for your gaming style and your setup. So first of all, guys, starting out, I do have a slight affinity for Razer products. I have been using them for about 3 years. I have also tried Corsair, Logitech, HyperX, SteelSeries, you name it. I have reviewed a lot of gaming computer peripherals on this channel, so I have a pretty open mind. I'm not a fanboy or anything like that. I just happen to like Razer products. So when I get an opportunity, a chance to get their entire Razer keyboard lineup, which I did that video about 1.5 years ago, or all of the mice, I'm not going to pass up on it. And I think it's a great opportunity for you guys, the average consumer, to get an honest, non-biased, no bullshit approach to buying yourself a wireless gaming mouse as you're spending your hard-earned dollars. So that's what the goal of this video is. By the end of this, I would like you guys to be able to have a better understanding as to which wireless Razer mouse is right for your guys' setup and your guys' gaming style and your personal productivity needs for your PC. So in order to keep this video somewhat structured, so I'm not bouncing around from different topics and stuff like that, we are going to go from left to right. I will have stats pop up on screen, things like the price, the weight, the measurements in millimeters for different hand sizes, and I will try and cover everything. I did take some keynotes that I'm going to refer to. I never script my videos or anything like that. I just go free flow off the top, but I did make some notes so I don't forget anything for you guys, as I do have a relatively small brain and a relatively big desk full of mice over here, so it just doesn't equate. All right, guys, sliding my Tookus, my little Rumpkin in here. Getting comfortable because we might be here a while, guys. This might be a bit of a long video, but there's a lot of information to cover. I'm going to try to not talk so fast that it seems like I'm on crystal meth, but also not drag ass and stumble around my words either. Got to make that quality, pristine content for you guys. So, left to right over here, this is the Razer Lancehead. As you see, it's the only one here that doesn't have a box. That's because I've owned this one for almost 3 years. As you see, the skates are worn to the bone. And yeah, this is probably the first wireless gaming product I've ever owned besides like a video game controller. To keep this a little structured and organized, I'm going to have these organized by size. So this would fit right in there like that. So from left to right, we have the Razer Pro Click over here, which the Pro Click really isn't even a gaming mouse. It's more of a office productivity mouse. So this is literally Razer's attempt at entering the office productivity sector. So this is something that, you know, you'd see in like an Apple store or something like that. Now, you can game with this, but it has really underwhelming skates, and it lacks a lot of the features like lift-off control in the software suite. But it does look incredibly beautiful. I think this is a really nice looking mouse with that stainless steel, with that actual aluminum scroll wheel in there, which feels pretty darn good, I have to say, and this nice gray, this stainless steel trim around there. It's a very handsome looking mouse, and it is also very comfortable. That's the entire point of this mouse, is maximum comfort, as this was a joint venture with Human Scale, which is a company that works on ergonomic office peripherals, so keyboard, mice. I think they even do desks and chairs, because you're sitting for, you know, 6 to 10 hours in an office setting. You can actually get a lot of lower back and wrist problems from using the wrong peripheral. So this is incredibly ergonomic, and I have to say it is you know, it's a pretty solid mouse. It is $100, which is not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. It's not light or anything like that. And you could game with this, but it is not a gaming mouse. You don't have any RGB in there. You don't have any control over liftoff or anything like that. You do have a pretty good, you do have a pretty decent sensor in there. It's not as impressive as some of the upper end Razer mice and whatnot. But again, this isn't really a gaming mouse. It's more of a productivity mouse. Ergonomically feels fantastic when you're palm gripping. You could claw grip with it, I guess. Fingertip grip, not so much, just because of the sculpted shape, and also it is extremely heavy, but again, not really a gaming mouse. Over here to the Razer Deathadder B2. So the Deathadder has been around forever, and there were several iterations of the Deathadder. There was the wired, then there was the Deathadder Essentials, which stripped away RGB and a couple of other high tier features. Then there was the Deathadder V2, which added chroma and a better DPI sensor. And then there's now the Pro, which added the aftermarket skates. It added a 20,000 DPI optical sensor. It added compatibility for that charging dock over there, which is pretty cool. And it also added the opti-mechanical switches, which instead of traditional mechanical clicky switches, these are actually a light beam that when broken, it actuates. So it's very, very quick to respond, and also substantially quieter than traditional mechanical switches, which is nice. So even if you're streaming or you're just communicating with friends over Discord or Xbox chat or something like that, you don't have to worry about too much clicking and whatnot. Scroll wheel feels really good on this one. Nice distinct steps, good weight to it. Clicking down the scroll wheel feels good. The side buttons feel amazing. They are this light tactile mechanical click on there, and you do have this really nice rubberized material. I do love these skates that do come on some of the newer Razer products. Some of the newer Razer mice, like for example, the Viper over here, which we're going to talk a whole heck of a lot about this one, because this is King Kong right here. This is in-game. This is the mouse that people work up to. This is the mouse that, you know, literally you can enter a professional tournament and come out the victor with that mouse. Like, that thing is insane. We'll get to that in just a minute. You can kind of already tell where I'm going with this, but it's a very, very good mouse, boys. Anyway, great sensor in there, but you know, 20K, you're never going to use that. You're probably going to taper it down if you're playing first-person shooters. And I will say, I wasn't a huge fan of the ergonomics of the Deathadder Pro. Now, it is a full-size sculpted mouse, so there are other full-size sculpted mice here. For example, the Naga Pro, the Mamba Wireless, the Basilisk. These are all considered full-size ergonomic right-handed mice, and they're all wireless. So these are virtually very, very similar, especially these three right here. Now, the Naga Pro does something that no other mouse does here, obviously. You can pop off these modular side plates, and they have one that has 6 buttons and another one that has 12 buttons. So that is really cool. So if you play MMORPGs or you do video editing where you want a bunch of macros set up or something like that, that's definitely the way to go here. But I feel like the Deathadder V2 Pro, for the price, it didn't really feel very good in my hand, even for palm grip, but especially claw grip and fingertip grip, because it's so flared out here on the side, on the right side. You could never get a good grip on it, at least for my hands, and I have pretty average size hands. I'm 5'11", 175 pounds, a very average size North American man, and this just didn't feel great. The ergonomics weren't great, which is unfortunate because it has all the other features that you might really like. It's got 2 adjustable DPI buttons up here, good crisp side buttons, good skates, a good sensor, but ergonomics is incredibly important. If it doesn't feel good in your hand, and this doesn't, then this is just a no buy. So for me personally, this is a no buy. But don't feel sad about the Deathadder. There are other mice that do. There are other mice that are full size ergos that felt a lot better to me. So for example, the Mamba over here, which if you don't like this Gears of War limited edition, they do also have black and I believe an all white version. This also has very nice tactile buttons on the side. Really nice grippy shell on there. RGB bleeds through that Gears logo. You have DPI up and down. Good steps on the scroll wheel. And I gotta say, I like the Mamba quite a damn bit. Now, as you see, it has their standard black stock skates on there. But still, even these Razer skates here work phenomenally. Like the Lancehead, which was my daily for 2 years, has the same skates on them, and they feel phenomenal. If you want to, you can always upgrade to some aftermarket G skates or a company like that. But I gotta say, the Mamba ergonomically feels phenomenal. I also like this rubberized material much more than what they're using on a lot of the other new mice. It seems like they're using this pattern on all their new mice, and the older ones have this kind of pattern on there, which to my fingertips feels grippier and more comfortable. So I wish they would just kind of go back to that. But yeah, I gotta say, Mamba is an awesome mouse, and it's much cheaper than almost any mouse out here. This is $60, and that's with this special edition here. So yeah, great feeling mouse. I was able to palm grip this, I was able to claw grip this, and I was able to fingertip grip this. Absolutely no problem. Phenomenal. So yeah, that's a great mouse. So real quick, if you are looking for a mouse that has Bluetooth, the Pro Click does, the Deathadder does not. Yes, it does. The Pro Click does, the Deathadder does, the Mamba does not, the Basilisk does, the Naga does, the Lancehead does not, the Viper does not, and the Aetherius does. So if you're looking specifically for Bluetooth, I'm not really sure why you would. You get a little bit better battery life with Bluetooth, but like I said, there's a lot of latency and lag that comes with that as well. Now the Basilisk is pretty unique. It has a very interesting shape where you can actually rest your thumb on there, and I have to say, I like these side buttons a lot. They're a little noisy. They're actually the loudest side buttons in this entire lineup here. So if you are chatting over Discord or you are streaming to Twitch or something, it might get a little bit annoying over time. This one also has absolutely zero plug, so you cannot play with this wired or plug it in like that. You have to use the single rechargeable or the single disposable / rechargeable AA battery that goes in there. So this one actually does use a disposable vice a lot of these other mice that are rechargeable, battery, rechargeable, battery. And you can tell there's extra weight when you insert batteries in there, Vice having a built-in rechargeable. But yeah, the Basilisk feels absolutely phenomenal for palm grip. So like the Mamba and the Basilisk feel great. The only thing about the Basilisk I didn't like is since this shell removes like that, I can actually feel where it's raised up a little bit around this entire shroud here, and it kind of, you know, it scratches your palm a little bit. You get used to it, but it doesn't feel great. I also do not like the fact that it only has one DPI switching button instead of an up and down, because if you pick up a sniper rifle in a game or something like that, you'd have to, you know, click through the profiles until you get to the one you want, and that's not great, as were all these other ones that have adjustable DPI, have up and downs, which I personally like. I did not like how the Viper Ultimate handles their sensitivity or DPI adjustment. You have to adjust it from the bottom here, which I get they don't want anything on the top because it's like a competitive FPS ultralight mouse, but you would never ever in a tournament or you would never while gaming take your mouse, switch over DPI. Like that just takes too long and it's impractical. So, you know, as where if it's on top, it's not a huge deal to quickly switch your sensitivity or anything like that. But yeah, the Basilisk, phenomenal. I will say the scroll wheel is a little bit light on this one, which I wasn't a huge fan of, and the stock skates were a little bit underwhelming, but this has Bluetooth, it has the adapter dongle, and it just feels fantastic overall. Now, the Naga Pro is kind of in a league of its own here because it has those modular side plates, so this mouse has a major feature that none of these other ones do. Also, this has an insanely sculpted shell here. It has a cutout specifically for your ring finger and then a nice little rubberized coating for your pinky as well. So this one is incredibly comfortable, and I actually did like all three of the different side plates. I did test them all. A scroll wheel feels perfect on this one. It is distinct with its steps. It has very satisfying steps. And then also you can move this scroll wheel to the right and left, and those are additional function buttons there. So you can, you know, either click down or left and right with it, and those are also additional functions. So ton of controllability here with the Naga Pro. Great skates, has Bluetooth, good battery life on this thing, 70 hours, which is a lot. I gotta say, the Lancehead is kind of showing its age here a little bit. This is the oldest mouse out, and they actually don't make the Lancehead new in factory anymore. They do still have new units in the box and whatnot, but they're not producing this mouse anymore. And that's because this design is just kind of outdated. Now, it is a great design. It's ambidextrous. It is like a mid-sized mouse, much like the Viper over here. And I gotta say, I mean, it did me well for 2.5 years. I don't really have any major complaints. It is a little bit rump heavy, a little bit ass heavy. So if you are going to be fingertip gripping or doing liftoffs or anything like that, you might notice that. But for palm grip and for claw grip, this thing works out phenomenally. Good steps in there, nice distinct click on the scroll wheel, good left and right mouse buttons, traditional mechanical switches in there, 2 DPI modes on the top, good sensor in there. It's a 16K sensor, just a great mouse overall. Now, the Viper Ultimate is my favorite mouse here and my favorite mouse on the market, period. This thing is the lightest wireless mouse on the market at 74 grams, which is insane. It has a very, very nice feeling scroll wheel with very crisp, distinct steps in there. Very, very quiet, yet super light and tactile left and right mouse buttons. Like, they feel amazing, which I absolutely love. Side buttons are also very nice and clicky. I wish they were a little bit bigger or more spaced out. I haven't accidentally hit the wrong button or anything, but I could see that being a problem if you had some bigger thumbs. Stock skates on here are phenomenal. In conjunction with it being light, you can do some really good snap aiming. This thing works for palm grip as well as claw and fingertip. So, I mean, out of all these mice, this is the most versatile for shooters. If you do need extra buttons, obviously you're going to go with the Naga Trinity here, the Naga Pro. But if you just play shooters, this can do all 3 grips, and it's the lightest. It has 70 hours of battery life. I mean, I stand behind this mouse 110%. Now, the Atheris. Oh, the sweet, sweet Atheris. I'm sure this mouse has a place in somebody's heart or whatever, but for one, it's incredibly compact. It's the only compact mouse here, and when you put your hand over it to palm grip, it completely covers this mouse, and you have like fingertip hanging over the front. So you could scoot your hand back, but then you're kind of forcing yourself into a claw grip position, which is ideal for this mouse. When I gamed with this thing, fingertip grip, this thing is so back end heavy, and the entire mouse itself is incredibly heavy. So it makes fingertipping really not a viable option. Claw grip actually worked out pretty well. I was super surprised how effective I actually was claw gripping this little sucker. So yeah, stock skates also very, very good. Had no complaints there. This does have Bluetooth and a 2.4 gigs connector. Now, the reason this thing is so damn heavy is it runs on 2 AA batteries in a tiny compact mouse, so it's pretty darn heavy. Also, the scroll wheel is incredibly light, so you could accidentally swap through weapons in a shooter. And I do not like this texture on the top shell. Not only does it look kind of tacky and like a fingerprint magnet being glossed, but it's also super slick to the touch. If I were to keep this mouse, I would have to upgrade it with some bat grips or some kind of grip tape or something to kind of give me a little bit of bite oomph on there. It's just super, super light. Also, these side buttons are so small and sleek that you can easily accidentally hit the wrong button, so that's inconvenient as well. I also hate that Lucas branding on the bottom there. We know who sponsored the product. We get it. You could put that branding on the bottom if you need that on there for copyright or trademark reasons. Does not need to be on there. That kills the looks of it. This also has 0 RGB. I thought that would have been really cool if like maybe there's some RGB glow through the eyes of the trooper mask or something, but no sir. And it's just super, if I pinch it in the middle here, it's incredibly ass end heavy. So I personally would not purchase the Atheris or the Deathadder Pro. I would purchase the Pro Click if I was, getting this for my office, as it is, a very classy, elegant looking office productivity mouse. I think that's exactly what this is for, and it does that very, very well. The Deathadder, I just don't see it being viable because the ergonomics were so poor, and if I want a full-size ergonomic wireless mouse, there's too many other good options in the lineup. You have the Mamba, which is fantastic, and $60. The Basilisk, which I think is $100, I'll have the actual price up here, has a 16,000 DPI switch in there and has a really, really nice design, a nice thumb rest and everything, but it's just lacking that wired up option. But a lot of people would never even use that anyway because it's battery powered, so you can just swap your disposables out. The Naga Pro, if I were a bigger MMO RPG player, this would be the mouse for me because it's versatile. You can play shooters with it. I did it on the review. I got tons of kills in COD, but this thing is primarily for people that need 12 buttons on the side of their mouse, but still want those good skates, good battery life, 20K sensor, and support for that Razer dock, which charges it, gives you status indicator lights, and also allows that hyperspeed connection, which is really cool. The Lancehead, I mean, obviously I had it for 2.5 years for a reason. It's ergonomic, it's sculpted, it's grippy, it feels good. I mean, this one, obviously, you're not going to buy it like this. I customized it to fit that Stormtrooper theme. But yeah, this is my new favorite mouse, hands down. I mean, I don't foresee anything coming out in the near future that's going to get me to not say this is my favorite mouse. It is a fantastic first-person shooter mouse. Just the fact that I can run any of the 3 grips and feel like it's natural. And it's insanely light. Like, this thing is stupid light. Skates are great. Atheris, I wouldn't buy this one, period. I mean, yeah, the Deathadder and the Aetherius I would never buy for myself. They just don't make any sense. But yeah, best first-person shooter mouse I've ever used. Great MMORPG mouse if you need a lot of keybinds over here. Basilisk is stupid comfortable. This is the best value here, as it is the cheapest mouse that works well. Actually, it's the cheapest mouse here, period. Besides the Atheris, which is, I think, $10 cheaper, but it's not even comparable in features. So, best value, wireless Mamba here. This thing is badass. Feels amazing, and it has a ton of features you wouldn't really expect in a $60 mouse. Best MMORPG mouse, boom, Naga Pro. Best first-person shooter mouse, and this isn't just Razer, this is any mouse out there. I would stack the Viper Ultimate against any competitive mouse out there. If you're not a gamer, but you want a nice, classy, elegant mouse for your desk setup at your office, probably the Pro Click for you. I think that's going to do it. I'm pretty sure I have covered each one of these bad boys here. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much. Hopefully I kept it somewhat organized. It's hard not to bounce around when you think of another thing. You're like, oh yeah, that mouse actually does that too. Or, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. And if you guys have any questions whatsoever, drop them in the comments section below, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. I will also have linked in the description below, not only the Amazon link for all of these bad boys, so you can find the exact model in this video here, but also I will have the individual video reviews linked down there below. So if you want more information, as I do go very in-depth with the unboxing, setup, and also my gameplay thoughts about each one of these mice. All right, guys, that is going to do it. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.